Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. We continue with our study of Jawami Al-Akhbar, Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Nasir al-Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah. We have reached al-hadithu athani wa ashrun, or the 22nd narration, which comes عن أبي سعيد الخدري قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الماء طهور لا ينجسه شيء. That water is pure and nothing defiles it, nothing makes it uh, يعني, defiled, if you will. رواه أحمد والترمذي وأبو داود والنسائي. هذا الحديث السعدي says هذا الحديث الصحيح يدل على أصل جامع. This narration, this authentic narration, indicates and points to a comprehensive foundation. وهو أن الماء أي جميع المياه النابعة من الأرض طاهرة. And it is that water, meaning all water that originates from the earth, it is طاهرة, it is pure. والنازلة من السماء نعم, and all water that descends from the heavens الباقية على خلقتها, it remains upon its original creation, the way that Allah Ta'ala sent it down, meaning it is pure. أو المتغيرة بمقرها أو ممرها, or if it is altered, for example, by way of it sitting still in a particular place, or it flowing, such as in the case of a river or what have you. Naam, he says that أو بما يلقى فيها من الطاهرات, or if something is placed inside of it from those pure things, from those things that are pure within and of themselves. ولو تغير كثيرا, even if it is altered and changed to some extent or to a large extent. طاهرة, then it is still pure. تستعمل في الطهارة وغيرها, and it can be utilized to purify oneself or other than it. So he's going on to indicate and prove how water, it remains upon its original state of affairs as long as something which is najis in of itself is not placed into it, right? No matter what happens and occurs to that water, if something pure falls into it, such as dirt or dust or what have you, or a leaf or some other object that is pure and clean in of itself and not considered to be najis, then that water, it retains its original ruling that it is a pure water and can be utilized to purify oneself with, and the likes of this, such as, for example, lake water or water that's in a river. Now, no matter what may be inside of that water, dead fish or whatever the case may be, the water still can be used to purify yourself with, or to do some other affair with. Now, and he's going to mention the exceptions to this rule. He says, وَلَا يُسْتَثْنَى مِنْ هَذَا الكلام الجامع إلا. He says, and nothing is an exception to this general comprehensive speech except الماء المتغير لونها, it is that water which the color of it changes, أو طعمها أو طعمه, or its أو لونه أو طعمه, its color or its taste, أو ريحه, or its smell changes and is altered bin najasa, by something which is in of itself is impure. Okay, if the water changes in terms of its color, in terms of its taste, and in terms of its smell, and that change was brought about by something which is najasa, which is impure, urine, for example, and the likes, then in this case, the ruling of it is going to change. Right, the ruling of it is going to change. Now, he says, كما في بعض ألفاظ هذا الحديث, as is indicated by some of the various wordings of this hadith. قد اتفق العلماء على نجاسة الماء المتغير بالنجاسة, and the scholars are in agreement. Now, the scholars are in agreement regarding the fact that the water which has been altered or changed by something which is najasa is itself najis. That water is going to be considered najasa, right? That it is an impure water. So, for example, we make the example of urine. Now, that if the water is changed and altered by way of urine, and it's enough urine that will change the color or the taste or the smell of that water, now it takes the ruling of that urine that's in it. This is urine water now. Is urine water is not considered to be pure water. Naam, which is why large amounts of water, large amounts of water to the large enough for the large enough so that these things are not changed or altered by it, then it will still remain upon its original affair. For example, the ocean, right? Person swims in the ocean. People do whatever they do inside the ocean. You can still make wudu with ocean water, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the ruling. It doesn't, cause it has not changed the color or the taste or the smell of a body of water that's that large. Okay, so he says, نعم واستدل عليه الإمام أحمد وغيره بقوله تعالى, and Imam Ahmad and others from the scholars, they have utilized as an evidence the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير, that made haram for you is al-mayta, which is dead meat, dead flesh, an animal that is a carcass, you found it dead already, is mayta, والدم, and likewise blood, ولحم الخنزير, and the meat of the pig, the meat of the pig, to the end of the verse, meaning that these things are all considered to be najasa, right? Pig meat, blood, mayta, these are all considered to be najasa. نعم يعني ومتى ظهرت أوصاف هذه الأشياء المحرمة في الماء صار نجسا خبيثا. So the scholars who are utilizing, like Imam Ahmed, utilize this verse as evidence. They say that if, for example, one of these things were to go into the water, and thus it changes those things that we mentioned, right? The color, the taste, or the smell, then at that point that water is considered to be najas or najas. Now, هذا الحديث وغيره يدل على أن الماء المتغير بالطاهرات طهور. And so this hadith and other narrations besides it indicate and point to the fact that water that has been changed by something pure, right? If it is not something which is najasa, rather something pure, were to go into that water, then the water still remains to be pure. The water is still considered to be pure. Now, when we get to Shaykh Ubayd's Kalam, right, he's going to explain some details to it. Because what he's saying right here is general. The water is pure, but now can you purify yourself with that water, right? If something has altered its color, its taste, or its smell from something which in and of itself is pure, right? The water is pure, right? We already established that. The water is pure. It's not considered to be like water that's najis now, like in the other case where someone urinates in it or defecates in it or blood gets into it or what have you, right? However, can you purify yourself with it even though the water itself is pure? Something can be tuhur, but can it be tahir, right? Can it be purifying? So we're going to get to that later, inshallah ta'ala. Now, he says that وَعَلَى مَا خَلَتْ بِهِ الْمَرْأَةِ لَا يُمْنَعْ بِهِ أَوْ مِنْهُ مُطْلَقًا, and likewise that which may a woman, she may come into contact with this water and may deal with this water or what have you, then as a result of her handling this water, dealing with this water, water is not outright prohibited from utilizing the water. I mean, it is still considered to be tuhur. وعلى طهورية ما انغمست فيه يد القائم من نوم الليل. And likewise, the water which the one who wakes up from sleep, he may put his hands into the water, right? Because we know that we've been commanded to, when we wake up in the morning, right? We wake up in the morning, before we make wudu, we should wash our hands. This is in the case wherein we're making the wudu out of a basin or something of still water, not like the sink water, right? Not like the sink water. The sink water is not water that's still. So water that's still, it has a ruling, right? We have to, before we make wudu with that water, right, we have to cleanse and purify our hands. We have to wash our hands, right? Because the Prophet mentioned, alayhi salam, that you don't know where your hands have been while you were sleeping, right? You don't know where your hands have been while you were sleeping. So before you go putting your hands into the wudu water that everyone else is going to use, right, like us in the case of still water, then you have to wash your hands first. So this is what he's speaking about here. Now, so this is still water that a person puts his hands into, right? If he wakes up from sleep and puts his hands into it, is that water still considered to be pure? Yes, it's still considered to be pure, even though he put his hands in that water. نعم وإنما ينهى القائم من النوم عن غمسها حتى يغسلها ثلاثا. He said the one who wakes up from sleep has only been prohibited from placing his hands into that still water, whether it's in a bowl or a basin or what have you, until he washes his hands first 3 times. أما المانع من الماء, as for the water itself being prohibited for usage, if he has put his hands into it, he says فلا يدل الحديث عليه. Then this hadith does not indicate that. Rather, the water is still considered to be pure. It is not defiled by him putting his hands into that water, as we see from the narration. That water is tuhur, and nothing makes it najis. ولا ينجسه شيء. نعم. والمقصود أن هذا الحديث يدل على أن الماء قسمان. What is intended is that this narration indicates that water is of 2 types. Water is of 2 types. He says the first type is that which is najis. Water that is najis. Water that is considered to be a defiled water or impure water. وهو ما تغير أحد أوصافه بالنجاسة. It is that water that one of its 3 descriptions, one of its 3 qualities has been altered or changed by something which is najis. Right? Whether it's the taste of it has changed due to something which is najis being placed into it, the color of it has been altered by way of that vile thing, or the aroma, the smell of the water changes. Now, whether it's قليلا كان أو كثيرا, whether it is a small amount or a large amount. Now, what tuhur? You have the water that is tuhur, that is pure. وهو ما ليس كذلك. It is that which is not similar to that. It's not like that. وأن إثبات نوع ثالث لا طهور ولا نجس نعم بل طاهر غير مطهر ليس عليه دليل شرعي. He said, and that this third category of water, which some of the fuqaha mention, and it is that water which is neither purifying nor is it, or rather it is tahir la mutahir. It is something which is pure but it cannot purify. He says ليس عليه دليل شرعي. This is something which has no legislative evidence. فيبقى على أصل الطهورية. So therefore it remains upon the foundation that it can be used to purify. It can be used to purify. ويؤيد هذا العموم قوله تعالى, and what indicates and supports this general ruling is the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً, if one does not find water, فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. Let him make tayammum with pure and clean earth. Now, so this supports that general ruling. Then watch al-istidlal, right, is that the Shaykh is saying it, as long as the water is tuhur, it can likewise be used to purify. As long as the water itself is tuhur, it can also be used to purify. And the watch al-istidlal from the verse is that Allah Ta'ala, He doesn't mention any third category. He mentions simply that you don't find water. That you don't find water. In that case, you make tayammum. In that case, you make tayammum. Now, هذا عام في كل ماء. So this is general regarding every water. لأن نكرة في سياق النفي, because it is indefinite, coming in the context of a negation of something. ويشمل كل ماء خرج منه الماء النجس. So therefore it is inclusive of all waters, and what is taken outside of that is water that is najis, because obviously you cannot use water that is najis. Now, للإجماع عليه, due to the fact that there's ijma regarding the fact that you can't use water that is najis. ودل هذا الحديث أيضا أن الأصل في المياه الطهارة. He says, likewise, this narration, it indicates that the basic foundation regarding water, is that it is considered to be pure. Water is considered to be pure. كذلك في غيرها, likewise, other than it, فمتى حصل الشك في الشيء منها هل وجد فيه سبب تنجيس أم لا فالأصل الطهارة. He says, so therefore, if there occurs some doubt, meaning is there something in it of impurity or not, now then the asl is that it is considered to be pure, right? Because that which is certain cannot be removed by way of doubt. That which is certain cannot be removed by way of doubt. We don't base rulings upon doubtful affairs in Islam. We base rulings upon that which we are certain of. Right? Shu'abaydi says an explanation of this. قال الشيخ مقررا هذا الأصل. He said that the Sheikh, he mentions affirming this general principle inside of his Manzum al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya. He has a poem regarding the principles of fiqh. He says, وَالْأَصْلُ فِي مِيَاهِنَا الطَّهَارَةِ, that the asl regarding our water is tahara, that the water is considered to be pure. وَالْأَرْضُ وَالثِّيَابِ وَالْحِجَارَةِ, as are soil or earth and garments, clothing, and stones. These are all considered to be at the origin, at the basic foundation, pure. Now, so therefore the asl regarding al-ma'kulat, wal-mashrubat, wal-malbusat, wal-mafrushat, al-ibaha, wal-tahara. So therefore the basic foundation regarding al-ma'kulat, things that are permissible to be eaten, and things that are permissible to be drank, and things that are permissible to be worn, and likewise in relation to carpets, is that they are permissible to use, and they are pure, right? This is another reason why, if you come to the masjid, a bid'ah that we find with some of the people is that they come to a masjid and they bring their own prayer rug to a masjid, right? Why are you bringing a prayer rug to a masjid? You say, I don't like putting my face on it. No, the asl regarding the firash is that it is pure. It is clean, it's pure. It's the asl regarding it, unless there's something that would indicate that it's not, right? Unless you have an evidence indicating that it's not. Now, and so if a person has some type of skin condition or something, some sensitive skin affair or something like this, then okay, maybe there's a watch for him. But if it's not like that, then we have no business bringing a prayer rug to a prayer rug, right? Don't bring a prayer rug to a musalla. Now, at any rate, he says, فَمَنْ أَرَادَ, so whoever wants to take us away from this asl, فَلْيَأْتِ بِأَصْلٍ أَقْوَى مِنْهُ, then he must bring an asl that is stronger than an asl. This is the basic foundation with us. You must now have a foundation that's stronger than that foundation in order for us to depart from this foundation. Now, فَعَلَى سَبِيلَ مِثَالٍ, so by way of example, he says, أَنَّ هَذَا الْمَاء الَّذِي فِي الْإِبْرَاقِ نَجِسٌ. If a person were to say, for example, that water that is in this kettle is najis, right? We have a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ regarding water, right? That water is pure and nothing can make it impure, right? So now a person has water in a teapot and he says that water is najis. Well, what's your evidence that it's najis, right? Because the basic foundation, based upon what we got from our Prophet, is that water is considered to be pure, right? It's considered to be pure. We say hata dalil. We say bring a dalil. Bring a dalil. Now, فإن رأيناه متغيرا طعمه أو ريحه أو لونه بنجس. But if we were to see that the color, taste, or smell of it has been altered by way of something which is najas, فحكمنا بنجاسته, then we will rule at that point with the najasa of that water. We will say at that point, we know we saw so-and-so urinating in that teapot. We saw such and such, some blood going into that teapot, or what have you, right? Then at that point, we can base the ruling upon what we know without a shadow of a doubt. Again, rulings are not based upon shak. They're not based upon shak. والعلماء المحققون على ما ذكره الشيخ, and the scholars, the verifying scholars, upon that which the Sheikh has mentioned. And المياه قسمان, that water is of two types, tuhur wa najis, water that is tuhur, pure and purifying, and water that is najas faqad. So there are only these two categories of water. فالطهور هو ما كان باقيا على خلقته. So the tuhur is that which remains upon its khilqa, the way that Allah Ta'ala sent it down, right? Now, أو تغير أحد أوصافه بالطاهر, or one of its three categories has been changed or altered, but it was changed and altered by way of something that is tahir, something which is pure. Okay? When najis, and you have the water that is najis, it is that which one of its three characteristics has been changed by way of something which is najasa. Now, so here the Sheikh brings two affairs, and this is what we mentioned that he was going to allude to earlier. The first affair is that this narration, الماء طهور لا ينجسه شيء يستثنى منه ما ولغ فيه الكلب. What is the exception to this rule is that which the dog has licked into, or the dog has slurped up or licked, right? Water that a dog has put his tongue in. He says فقد دل مجموع نصوص هذه المسألة على أن ما ولغ في الكلب, that the text, when you bring the text together regarding this issue, then these texts indicate that that which the dog is licked into, وما شرب منه فهو نجس, or the dog has drank from, then it is najis. It is najis. وفي بعض طرق الحديث, and in some of the wordings of the hadith, it is mentioned فَلْ يُرِقْهُ, then let him dispose of that water. هذا مستثنى من عموم الحديث. So this is an exception to the generality of the hadith, that water is pure and nothing can defile it, right? This is the exception to that general hadith. Now, the second affair, أن ما تغير بطاهر فهو لا يخلو عن حالتين, is that which has been changed by something which is pure is not going to go outside of two cases. Now, the first case, إما أن يغلب عليه المخالط, is that thing which has been mixed into it overpowers the water, right? It's pure now. The thing is pure, right? But that substance that has been put into it, the pure substance, overpowers the water. So now it's not going to be considered water anymore, right? It's going to be considered something else. You take, for example, flour, right? You put enough flour into the water, it's not water anymore. Now it's gravy or something. It's not water anymore, right? You can't make wudu with gravy, right? So it's not considered to be water anymore. Now, so if that substance that has been placed into it overpowers it, then it's going to take the ruling of that substance, right? Even if it may be pure, it's not considered to be impure now, but it's not considered to be water either. Now, so he says that, so it overpowers it, hatta yaslubuhu ismuhu, until the name has now been removed from it. Meaning the title of water has been removed from it. Now it becomes something else. فهذا ليس بماء. This is not water. This is no longer water. وإن سمي ماء فمقيد. And if it is to be called water, it is called water in a restricted manner, right? You have to qualify it by saying this is such and such water. For example, it is lemon water, right? Because the lemon juice that has been put into it overpowers it. So it's lemon water now, or it's rose water, or it is something else besides that. Grape water. Or it says ma' al-anab, or ma' al-tufa, or it is apple water. فالاستعمال هنا هل هو مطلق أو مقيد. So therefore, our usage of the word water here, is it unrestricted or is it restricted? Rather, it is restricted, right? We restricted it by way of the term that we connected to it. Now, he says, فهو مقيد فلو أنك أتيت بقدح يسعى لي أو لترين من الماء مثلا فعصرت فيه من الليمون حتى أصبح الليمون هو الغالب عليه. So if you were to bring, for example, 2 liters of water, and you were to squeeze lemons into it until the lemons now overpower the water, then we're not going to call it water anymore. We'll call it, lemon water, or call it lemonade, or what have you. Now, he says that, so we can't call it water unless it be in a restricted manner. You will restrict it by another term. وليس على سبيل الإطلاق, not in an absolute way. ولو أن قائلا قال لك, so if someone were to say to you, for example, أعطني ماء أشرب أو أتوضأ, if someone were to say, for example, I need some water so that I can drink it, or I can make wudu with it. And you were to bring him this water that you squeeze lemons into. You squeeze a lot of lemons into, right? He's not going to accept it from you to make wudu with, right? He's going to think that you're making a mockery of him. He says, he's going to say, I'll ask you for water. For kayfa ta'atini hadha. How are you going to give me this? Hadha laysa bima. This is not water. Now, so he says that the second state or condition Now, the second state or condition of that of water that something has been mixed into that is pure is that the pure thing has not overpowered it. It has not overpowered the water. Right, the water remains the majority uh, in this case. He says that nah, the thing that's been mixed into it is a small amount in comparison to the large amount of the water. And nah, even though something from its description has been altered or changed, lakin la yaglib alay, but it is not overpowered the water. This is still considered to be water. It is still considered to be water. نعم هو من أقسام الماء الطهور. It is from those categories of water that is considered to be pure. يستعمل في العادات والعبادات. It can be used for عادات and عبادات. Our customary usage of water, it can be used for that, bathing or cooking and the likes of that, or it can be used for عبادات, like ghusl and wudu and so on and so forth. أما الأول, as for the first, إنه يستعمل في العادات لا في العبادات. As for the first type, wherein the water has been overpowered by the pure substance placed into it, you can use it for adat, for customary things, cooking and the likes of that, but you can't use it for ibadat. Can't use it for wudu, right? Can't use lemonade for wudu, right? Or apple juice for wudu, all right? But you can use it for adat. You may drink it, maybe you'll mix it in your food or whatever it may be, and you can benefit from it, but you can't use it for ibadah. As for the second water, you can use that for adat and ibadat, for customary usage and for ibadat. And it is that water that something pure has gone into it, but it has not overpowered the water. It's not overpowered the water. Now, even if something from its descriptions has changed a tad bit, now it still does not overpower the water. So it can be used for both adat and ibadat. Now, we stop here بإذن الله تعالى. Allah knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.